Hi, I'm Jim Baugh. First up on today's show, we're going to take a two-part trip down the Upper James River. The Upper James River has long been known for its scenic beauty and fantastic smallmouth fishing. So, I thought the James River would make for a fantastic scouting event for my son Ben's Boy Scout troop. With some helpful planning from the troop leaders, Troop 897 from Midlothian, Virginia was on its way to camp on the banks of the historic James River. Now, I figured if we wanted to experience the best part of the river in a short period of time, it would be very wise to use an outfitter who really knows the water. So, Troop 897 hooked up with the legendary James River Reeling and Rafting Company. Let me tell you one thing. If you're going to take a number of people down the James, it would be very wise to use a professional outfitter. James River Reeling and Rafting provided all the canoes necessary for the trip, transportation, equipment, and most importantly, expert advice. We wanted the boys to have an enjoyable trip on the river and to concentrate on catching fish and having fun. Using James River Reeling and Rafting made this easy. The last thing anyone wants to worry about is portaging canoes and transportation. Well, it was only a short paddle around the first bend when we came up what looked like our first fishing hole. Now, as you can see, these Boy Scouts gave a valiant effort at catching smallmouth. Now, fish were caught, although pretty small, so swimming and paddling became the recreation of choice. There are just hundreds of small chutes and currents along the James River that are just perfect for swimming. During this trip, the water levels were very low, and there was no real whitewater to speak of. This can make for safe and enjoyable swimming conditions. Although good for swimming, these kind of water levels can make fishing rather tough. Old Ben Baugh took his power grubs, light spinning gear, and gave the eddies a good workaround. Ben knows during hot summer to fish in cool, moving water and also next to grassy beds if possible. Now, Troop 897 is not just here to have a fantastic, relaxing float trip. No, these are Boy Scouts, and Scouts have to work. So, working with James River Reeling and Rafting, Troop 897 did its part to help clean up the Upper James River. See, there are many areas on the river that have many sunken tires, so it was our mission to haul out as many tires as our canoes could carry. Once we reached the takeout, James River Reeling and Rafting would properly dispose of the tires. Now, this was a simple activity that really does help the river. The boys enjoyed getting out of their canoes and seeing who could find the best tire. I recommend that everyone do a little something to help clean up and preserve the Upper James. If you would like to participate in this tire cleanup, just contact James River Reeling and Rafting, and they'll be glad to answer any questions you may have. Well, the Troop 897 Scout float trip and cleanup was such a big hit, we decided to have one more big float trip to wrap up the summer. So I called our friends at James River Reeling and Rafting and told them to reserve about 30 or 40 floats. I had no problem gathering up about 40 folks and made plans to do a year-end James River float trip. What a way to wrap up a summer. A beautiful half-day float trip full of swimming and fishing. The kids all had an absolute ball. Our musical guest on this float was my buddy Paige Wilson. Paige hosts the Out of the Blue radio review and has several popular CDs with his group, The Reckless Abandon. After this float trip, Paige and the boys played a little music at our barbecue. It went a little something like this.
I find a lot of the river monsters eat watermelon. You can recognize them by the green hair.
You know, Jay, I think your dew is drying out, man. You need to get back in the water.
I need a new fresh dew.
You need to get back in the water with that dew. I knew. Oh, that little baby brother of mine is gonna go fishing with you. Despite all the advice trying to save a catfishing life, save my little baby brother dead do. Caught a 9-pound catfish. The bottom, yes, he got him. Skin him up right, fried him hot in the pan. With my pole and my line, I'm a-going fishing. Yes, I'm going fishing. Baby, going fishing too. Going fishing,
now it's time for today's tip with some more information about James River reeling and rafting.
We are here riverside at beautiful James River, talking with Roger Black. How you doing, Roger?
Good, thanks.
Roger, you are James River reeling and rafting. Wonderful canoes. We floated with everything today. We had canoes, we had kayaks, we had the inner tubes. A lot of fun.
Everybody had a good float?
Oh, it was beautiful. Caught some fish, used those little power crabs. We had a lot of fun. Last time we were here about 3 weeks ago, we used some live minnows, and they worked well too. Now tell us about the river conditions today. It is low.
It is. It's actually up a little bit from the last couple of weeks.
Really?
So we had some local rains and something up farther in the watershed that's helping us a little bit, but
Okay.
still very low.
Well, just to give people an idea of how much the James River will fluctuate. Now, right now, what is the water level about?
2.7 at the Scottsville gauge today.
And I guess mean flood during fall is what, 15, 16
Yes.
feet at its worst maybe,
Yeah.
which happens every several years. But this is absolutely a beautiful area where we're taking out. Now, we only did a 4-mile float today. Very nice half-day float. Now, tell us about some of these other float trips that y'all do, because I know they range from like 4 miles up to maybe 12 to 13 miles in a day.
That's correct. We have a 7-mile float from Warren Ferry back to Scottsville,
Okay.
which would add another 3 miles to what you floated today.
Okay.
We have a 12-mile float from Howersville back to Scottsville, and a 12.5-mile from Scottsville to Bremo.
Very good.
And we can combine those trips for overnighters.
Now, we're actually standing right here, also the campground area, right? And parking area, so people can come camp. Y'all can facilitate with camping. And it's, I guess for fishing, you're talking about August. This is a good time for fishing, even though it's low water conditions.
We've had very good fishing conditions considering the low water.
Now, how about whitewater? Is this, I guess, a late fall, mid-fall type thing?
Usually the better water is in the spring. We don't go over Class 2 rapids on the stretch of river that we run.
Well, we were down here about 3 weeks ago, brought the Boy Scouts, did a little cleanup effort. Fantastic group trip, came out here, and what we did is it was a goal to pick up as many tires out of the river as we could, hauled them on the daggone canoes, and just took them out of here. So y'all will work with groups like that want to come in and help do, cleanup efforts on the river?
Absolutely, absolutely. And not just on the James. The folks here at Reeling and Rafting are very good about providing their equipment and services to assist on the Rivanna River as well.
Okay.
Not just for cleanups, but for environmental education trips with school groups and
Excellent.
anything similar to that.
Well, now this is a year-round activity. What about January, February, March? River gets a little cold.
Yes, the business closes down usually mid-October unless the weather is very mild.
And kicks back up
Early April.
early April.
Yeah.
Well, that's excellent. We had an absolute blast. We're looking forward to it again. We've done several floats this summer, and I think we're going to maybe try that late fall, maybe Class 2 whitewater.
Very good.
Thanks
Thank
a
you,
lot,
Jim.
Ron.
The week after our pig and paddle float trip, it was time to pack up the Kenner and head south to Hatteras, North Carolina. Once again, we based ourselves at the Holiday Inn at Hatteras Landing Marina. This is just a great place to base your trip due to the quick access to both the ocean and sound. I might add that the accommodations, ship store, and marina are all first class. With batteries charged and a full tank of gas, it was time to head offshore. Captain Mark Potter joined me for this trip and brought along his new Kenner 23V as well. If you are going to do a lot of offshore fishing, the offshore buddy system is not a bad idea. Well, after about a 20-mile run, we fished for a few hours and decided to head back to the inlet to try a little Spanish fishing along the beach. The weather had been quite rough and seas were getting a bit high, So inshore fishing sounded like a good idea.
And remember, even little blues have teeth. So you want to be careful. And we've got big hook removal pliers and all on the boat. We don't need them for these little fish, but they're just a ton of fun. It's really something to watch them bite right behind the boat.
Little blue, there we go. Right on the bottom.
No, the little blue. They're just right off the bottom, aren't they?
Right off the bottom.
They're little scrappy things.
Oh, man.
A lot of fun. Ben's having a great time up on the bow. All right, nice bluefish. Nice little bluefish. Cast to him, Ben. Good little bluefish. Got them all over. All over. What do we got here?
Bluefish, I believe. That's what it is.
Little bluefish.
Little bluefish there.
Little bluefish in the surf.
Get that bad boy
They're
out.
biting all over the place. Here you go. I think we're gonna maybe troll a little longer and then go back to casting. We got him. Little blue in the surf. A lot of fun. Amazing how hard they fight, you know?
Light tackle. Blues in the surf, Spanish mackerel in the surf, man, I love it. All right, Ben.
Well, Captain Earl Williams, Ben Baugh, and myself had about enough of fishing the beach, and before we headed in, there was just one thing left to do: clamming. That's right, the sound is just full of clams, and the marina told us where to go looking for them. So we anchored up both Kenner boats and started our hunt for the clams. Now, I cannot tell you how much fun this was. Not only are the clams great bait for wreck fishing, but they make for an excellent dinner as well.
Gonna join my friends and do a little clamming. Hopefully, we've already got like a half bucket of clams, and we're gonna get some more. And these clams, excellent bait for wreck fishing. We get out, the wind's gonna calm down a little bit, hopefully this afternoon. And we're gonna use these clams for a little bit of bait. Excellent for wrecks and also in the surf. Gonna try a little surf fishing, get the four-wheel drives out and get them. But it's a lot of fun, even if we don't catch any fish. Come, Jim!
Yeah.
Joe, give us the technique here on these clams, because we have got a lot of clams.
Well, you know, clams are scrumptious. They're very good to eat. We're over here on a sandbar on the other side of it, in the mud, feeling around with our toes. You know, we're doing little baby steps, finding little clams. They're all down here.
Well, you don't like the sand, do you? You're looking for the grass with some mud, right?
Mud and soft. Soft and muddy. And once you find one, you'll usually find a bunch. And after a long day out on the water, we come out here and we do this. It's cooling off now, the sun's going down, and clams on the grill are scrumptious.
Absolutely delicious.
Okay? We kick them up a notch sometimes.
What about this back step? I notice you're kind of doing the back step. Like,
Well,
oh,
see-
got that one.
See? It's an aerobic workout right here.
Yeah, I got one
You
right
do
here.
the back step, you do the front step.
There he is.
And aren't they pretty clams?
Beautiful.
Look at that. And they are so tender. Cook them in the microwave, put them on the grill.
Look at that one.
You can do it all. Don't take
Clam,
long.
big clam, Ben. Very good.
And it's fun for everybody.
Good thing to do during midday too. When you come out here and you're offshore fishing, boy, I tell you, it gets really hot. If you're doing a half-day trip or charter, come on out, do some clamming. Makes for a great dinner. Ton of fun. The kids are having a blast, and it's absolutely beautiful out here. We're going to take a minute and we're going to talk about some of the electronics that we have on our boat. Now again, we do a lot of bait fishing, inshore fishing, and also offshore fishing, so we've got to have our boat prepared with what we think is the proper electronics to get us out safely and back safely. Now first off, we're going to talk a little bit about sonar. Now, we wanted a sonar, most importantly, that I could see in bright conditions and have a nice size screen so that when I'm operating downriggers and getting on the lines that I can turn around and I can see exactly what my depth is and also see what the fish are doing. Now, this particular depth finder it's really cool because it's got a bi-refrigerant technology in it so that the brighter the sun is, actually the better you can see this color sonar. It's really nice. But some of the other specifications that are important when you're shopping for a good depth finder, again, you want a big screen that is easy to see and a maximum depth range of like 500 or 600 feet. I don't think is really deep enough, because if you're going to be going offshore, you're going to be fishing anywhere from, golly, 300 feet, 400 feet, to even 3,000 feet. This particular depth finder has a maximum depth range of around 1,500 feet, and that pretty much works for us in most of our fishing conditions. Another thing, you want a powerful unit. You want to get a unit that somewhere is going to spec out between 2,500 and 3,000 watts peak-to-peak power, which this one does as well. Also, waterproof unit if you can get one, very important. And this is also a die-cast aluminum depth finder casing, which I like. I've had a lot of problems in the past with just regular old plastic depth finders, to where over a couple of years, I don't know what it is, I guess because you go in different temperatures from cold, ice to very, very warm, humid temperatures, you'll get a lot of moisture condensation inside the unit. But this one we have had no problems with. Those are just some things to look for when you're looking for depth finders. Also, radar. Now, we just put radar on this boat this year, and I tell you, I can't live without it. Fortunately now, radars, cost-wise, they just aren't that expensive. They used to cost a fortune. Now they cost as much as just a really good differential GPS unit. So they are affordable for really most boats. And primarily in the Chesapeake Bay area, we just use this every single time we go out, not only in the fog, also for navigation at night as safety features. When we're offshore fishing, like we are down in Hatteras now, been a lot of thunderstorms. So we wanted to miss them. So we put this on a long range. This is a 24 nautical mile radar unit, and we can see thunder showers on it. So for navigation and safety, it's important to use at day as well as night. Very good thing to have, and I would love it if all boats had them. GPS, we've got differential GPS on the boat. Really good for wreck fishing. Just need GPS for finding your way home. It may not be necessary for differential because accuracy for regular GPS, somewhere around anywhere from maybe 75 feet to 150 feet. This unit right here will get us down anywhere from 1 to 10 feet accuracy of where we want to be, and that's less than about a half a boat length of this boat. So that's a good thing that we've got on here. A VHF radio, of course, I can't say enough things, positive things you need a VHF radio. Safety, of course, you use it for fishing all day long. We carry 2 VHF radios on this boat. This boat is just, it's under 24 feet, and we've got 2. We've got a handheld as well as this permanently mounted radio. And if you've got a VHF radio on the boat, the most important thing is to get an additional speaker, because when I'm running and under power, even in very rough seas, I can listen to the radio, I can listen to the weather, and half of the people that I talk to in boats about this size do not have additional speakers on the radios, and they can't hear anything, and it makes it very tough to communicate. So these are not expensive. I think these are like $20 to maybe $40. Definitely get an additional speaker on your VHF radio. We have, and it really helps out an awful lot. Well, these are just some of the electronics that we have. Actually, most of the electronics. We also have a stereo on the boat, and we can navigate very safely with radar, with the VHF radio backup VHF. We also have a backup handheld GPS and a good sonar unit. And with these electronics, it really does help us not only safety navigation, but also in finding fish.